This is Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Good to see you, my man. An interview that perhaps didn't want to have to be doing because you're holding the mic with your left hand because your right arm at the moment is tucked up. Talk to me, Johnny.
Gutted, mate. Very gutted. I found out. I pulled it and then I got it checked after I sparred on Monday because it still wasn't right. I knew something wasn't quite right there. Got it checked, had some great scans, got some great doctors around me. Shout out Dr. Ramon and the team, John Physio. And turns out I've torn my bicep, not actually on the tendon, but just above the tendon on the muscle. The tendons have stayed in place, which is primarily a good thing because it hasn't detached. But it's also not a good thing because if you tear the muscle the whole through, you might not ever recover from that, and it takes 1.5 to 2 years if the muscle rips all the way through. So I was thinking at one stage when they told me that news, I spoke to my dad and said, we can jab and we can just use one hand and we can probably still beat Rudenko. And the doctor said if you do that, there's still a high risk of it tearing in round one completely, because instinctively I still will throw my right hand. Just can't escape that. So without boring you to death, I've torn it in a bad place, but I've caught it early, so there'll be a good chance that I can sort it out and no surgery needed.
The fact that you said you thought about the potential of actually fighting, does that mean when the injury happened in that moment, you didn't feel like an instant burst of pain?
I didn't know. I thought it was a niggle. And good job I got it checked because I had 2 scans. I had 2 MRI scans, and then I had an ultrasound as well. And there was the first one sort of showed a bit of interest in where there was a tear. It wasn't too clear. The woman made me sit like this, and my arm was going numb. So the MRI with the first one.
Not a great sign.
And she was going, excuse me, you're moving. Well, yes, I'm moving because I'm laying all my pressure on my rotator cuff and I can't feel my hand. It's gone completely numb. But we've done it again in a different position, and it showed it clearly, and it showed quite a large tear. And then we've done an ultrasound which showed that the tear wasn't too wide, which is good. It was long, but it wasn't wide. So the healing process will be good if I do it right, and I 100% will, because I've been injured before, shoulders, hands, and I know exactly what to do in these situations. And it's not lose your head, and it's about focusing just as much as when you fight. But now it's about focusing on making myself better.
I know a lot of fighters get injured, and 99% of fighters will at some point throughout their career. But is it different when you're a big man? Are injuries more prone? I guess you're throwing with a lot more venom, a lot more vigour.
What it is, where this fight was pushed back from August, then it was September, and then it changed again in September, and I didn't know when I was going to be announcing it. Hello, Mark, you all right, mate?
How you doing? Good, yeah, you're right, yeah.
Hello. When I knew it wasn't going to be August and September, I've been training solid since I beat Babbage, because Eddie got in the ring after. Thought we'd move on quick and stay active. But when you've got to then put another 5 weeks on top of that, as a heavyweight, everything's harder. The running, I started getting problems with my groin, my back was hurting a little bit. We rectified all that, and then this happens. When you're a big man and you're powerful, everything moves quicker, everything weighs more, everything's heavier. These things can happen. So probably in hindsight, should have just called it a day when the 24th of August show was turned off and have a couple of weeks off and then get back into it. But these things happen as they're meant to happen.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's a little bit of a curse now with Andriy Rudenko?
Something's telling me not to do that fight for whatever reason. It just something's not right. I don't know if someone's trying to tell me something from up above, but it just even when we was trying to announce it at the Copper Box, we had to wait about 8 days. We was being told tomorrow it's going to be announced, today it's going to be announced. It just weren't happening, and at one point I was like, something's just telling me not to do this. And the last and final straw was the bicep.
It doesn't obviously look good seeing you in that. I know you've been getting mobbed out there.
More cautionary than anything. Like,
okay.
I can move it.
Well, you said to me as you walked in, you said it doesn't actually hurt.
It doesn't hurt at all. And what it is the bicep, when I extend it like that, that's where I don't want it to be. So the doctor just told me to wear this to immobilise it for 1 or 2 weeks, let it knit together as well as I can.
Yeah. Well, I know you're getting mobbed out there at the top tier show tonight. A lot of people will want to know when you're back, and they'll be asking you them questions.
How are you, mate? You okay?
Already.
Good, thank you.
But I saw something that Big John put up, and I know it won't mean a lot coming from me particularly. But he said that you feel like you've let people down, but I don't think that's the way at all. I think people can understand when a fighter gets injured. But for you
still feel that.
You perform in front of a big crowd, a rowdy crowd. Is there a bit of you that's like?
Yeah. And it's not only that, it was like today we was meant to be at the brewery in Romford, and there's little kids who were coming up from my old school and stuff like that, and that's what it's about. And for myself personally, you're not going to get paid like boxers. We only get paid when we fight, etc. But that weren't the fault of my mind. The fault more of my mind was people being messed around. First it was Manchester, then it was Sheffield, then it's London, and people were still buzzing and turning up. People booked hotels, people booked trains, and there's nothing I can do, but you still feel a little bit of responsibility there. But I guess there's nothing that can be done. All I can do is promise you when we return, which hopefully should be the end of this year, because I've caught it early, it's going to be explosive.
Yeah, well, like I said, it might not mean a lot coming from me, but you ain't let anyone down, that's for sure. And when you return, it'll be bigger, it'll be better, it'll be louder.
Cheers.
Just a little bit on this Johnny Clark Top Tier show, streamed on DAZN tonight. Done my little bit on the broadcast. And I couldn't find enough good words to say about what Johnny's doing. Is this your first top tier experience?
First top tier experience.
Impressed from the little bit
Very
you've seen
impressed
so far?
with the production. We're at the Brentwood Centre, which is a great place. I've had a gym show here, but everything's run smoothly. It's run smoothly and well, and I think a lot of people take inspiration from how Matchroom run their shows, and I can see elements of that here and how the quality of it's all done, because production is everything. How you present stuff to people is everything. If you want to grow your channel, you want to grow something, whether that's boxing or that's your own Instagram or YouTube channel, you have to make sure that you're doing things that's in a digestible manner that people can understand easily. And all these banners that are up and everything's done. Look, even little things like this, little touches, they make all the difference to making a show look aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and this definitely looks like that.
Yeah, obviously you were thrown straight in at the deep end when it comes to big shows, big nights. But I know you know a lot of fighters who have been on the smaller hall circuit. Joel Bartel, just an example. Yeah. What do these small hall shows do for boxers and their progression?
Small shows like this, small hall shows, are the lifeblood of professional boxing. We have at the grassroots, we've got amateur boxing, but the lifeblood of professionals. And you've got to remember, a lot of these boxers on these shows, they're waiting for that opportunity to get on a big show. I was very privileged and honoured to be able to go straight onto the Matchroom shows. But this is where a lot of boxers have to test their mettle. And it can be a good thing, because think of people like Tony Bellew who came through the hard way. It hardened them for when they got there. But this is like the first rung, and getting through this stage is hard enough. But if you get through this stage and then you get onto the big shows and you challenge one of the Matchroom prospects or the Frank Warren prospects, you're normally more hardened and you've got the edge over them. So you have to be dedicated at this level, you have to be disciplined, you have to make a lot of sacrifices, more than probably what I've had to make. But the bottom line is, if you're good enough, you make it.
Yeah, last time on the Top Tier show, Jimmy Sains and George Liddard thought it was a brilliant atmosphere. And it got me thinking, are we going to get to see you in Essex at some point? I know perhaps it won't be the Brentwood Centre.
Well, there was a chance we could have done this one at your call, you know, the Rudenko, when it was on. That would have been amazing. I know it's not Essex, but it's more, it would have been buzzing in there. That's my dream, to fight at your call, yeah.
Romford Dogs?
Romford Dog Track, we can be there.
Is that
listen, if the money is right and it makes sense, I'll fight in the brewery car park. How about that? And then we have a pie mash after and shake hands. Bash!
I knew I'd get a response from Joe Pugh. Just final one.
Get up! Get up! What the hell was he wearing, by the way? Oh, calm down.
I was the one who asked him to buy it, so I told him to buy it, so I can't say anything. Just one final one. Will I next see you on Joshua Dubois Fight Week?
Yes, I'll see you there.
Yeah, I know we've spoken a lot about it, but are you one of them who's changing
55
as time goes
Anthony
on?
Joshua, 45 Daniel Dubois. I think it'll be
so
close.
Actually, because you were 60-40, now he's 55-45.
Am I?
You was 60-40.
I'm 55-45. Daniel Dubois, I like Don Charles as well, and I think he's got, whenever I've been around him, I can feel the energy from that man. He's a good man, and I think that could tip it in the favour of Dubois in certain instances. But Ben Davidson, an amazing technical coach, massive emphasis on film study. It's a tall ask for Daniel Dubois. I do favour Anthony Joshua in the fight, but don't write Daniel Dubois off.
What a man you are, Johnny. Bash.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.